Hi everybody, it's Eric with PVCMe.us. So today we're going to make one of my favorites. We're going to make a collapsible A-frame. You'll see that this has got offset hinges that allows it to fold up completely flat for storage. It's as perfect if you've got a shop and you want to put something out on the sidewalk and bring it back in at the end of the day. Or if you've got a concession trailer or a food truck, this is the perfect thing for you. You can load it up, take it with you when you're ready to go. You put out your menu, and there you are. So we're going to build this project in 3 steps today. First thing we're going to do is build this pair of offset hinges. This is the most important part of the project. So we're going to build this first so we make sure we get it right. Because you don't want to build your whole big project and start putting this together on top of it and then have it wrong, because then you've got to deal with getting rid of your whole project. So first thing we'll do is build these offset hinges, and then we're going to build the back portion that swings, and the last thing we're going to build is the front piece with the swing rod across there on these offset hinges, and then we'll put it all together. For this offset hinge, you do need to make a left and a right one. You'll notice that they are opposing, all right? So it's important that you get them right. So what you need for these is these parts here. You need a 1-inch T, a 1-inch by 1/2 inch 90, a 1/2 inch 90, and then you'll need what I call 0 pieces. For the 1/2 inch, it's about 1 inch, 1.25 inches. It allows me to put these 2 1/2 inch fittings together with no gap in there. And then for the 1-inch piece, it's about 1 inch, 1/4 inch, 1.5 inch, and that allows me to put these 2 pieces, the 1-inch T and the 1-inch by 1/2 inch 90 together without any gap in there. And those 2 things are important to making this whole contraption work. So again, we're going to start by making these 2 offset hinges. I can't stress to you how important it is that everything, all your pieces, parts, get primed up really well, so you make sure you've got a good bond, and then you go from there. So we're going to start by building these. I've got everything already primed up, so I'm not going to show you that, but I am going to glue and make each of these hinges while you're watching. So remember, we're trying to make this piece here. So we're going to go like this with this piece, except it's at a 90 from there. You can see. It's going to go together like that. This is one project. You might need a pair of channel locks and pliers in order to make minor adjustments. Once the glue is partially set, you can still move these things just a little bit, but you generally can't do it by hand. You need something that'll give you some torque. So you may need one of these things to help you get going there. So again, we're gonna glue up this 1-inch fitting here, and I'll try and do it in conjunction with this one so you can see that we're making it the right way. So this one goes on with a 90 to that. You have to eyeball these, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to make sure that I've got this piece coming out perpendicular to the hole in that fitting there, so that I get this part together correctly. And that looks about right. So I'm going to do that. Next, we're going to put in the other 0 piece that allows this part to happen here. All right, so you can see we're headed in the right direction. Got that going on. Now the last part is this 90. It's going to go on facing up. It should line up with this hole here. I'm going to put it on just a little bit so I can make sure it's lined up right. And again, this is one of those ones where you have to eyeball it. So I'm going to look from different angles, Make sure I've got this thing going on correctly. Make sure these two holes are going in the same direction. And that looks about right. I'm going to push that down. Double check. Again, it looks about right. So I'm going to make a minor adjustment there. I'm going to set that. So you'll see that what I have done here is recreate that hinge. All right. So now we're going to make this hinge. Again, we'll go through the same steps. We're going to start by gluing the 0 piece into the 1-inch T. And then we are going to make this piece here. So remember, these are going to be opposite from each other. So do not try and make both of them the same. This one here. Go up. See that looks about right. Eyeball it from a couple different directions. Make a minor adjustment there. All right, so that looks about right to me. And I'm going to put in the 1/2-inch 0 piece. And then we're making this piece here, so we're going to make this come out perpendicular to, or parallel, so it comes out the exact same direction as this larger 1-inch piece. Put it on just a little bit. Eyeball it. Make sure it looks right from several different directions. You want this pipe coming up, same as that pipe. Minor adjustment there. I believe I've got it. I got lucky I did not need pliers. We started out with these 2 hinges as our samples. And we ended up with these 2 hinges that we made. So you'll see that they match up. Make sure that all of these pipes come out at the right angle so that when you put the long rod in between them, that everything works right and it will function correctly when you put together your whole sign. We're going to make the big back panel. That does not include these. And then we'll step back. We'll make the front panel, which does include these. And then our third step will be to put it all together. So we're going to build the back panel for this. Basically just a large rectangle. Up top there's the 2 1-inch T's put sideways so that they utilize the 1/2-inch pipe as a swing rod when it's complete. So I do have a little bit of priming to do here. Priming is very important. Every video you watch me do, I'm going to try and show you some degree of priming. And you're always going to see me glue things up, but it's very important that you prime your parts completely. These T's that I'm priming right now, I'm only priming one side, one of the holes, because this T is the top T that is actually going to swivel to allow your A-frame to open and close, and it does not need primer or glue on the inside, so I generally don't prime that. If you get primer on the outside, don't worry. Most likely you're going to paint these things, so the paint goes right over the primer without a problem. This is one of my 0 pieces for the 1-inch PVC. It is about 1.5 inches long, and all I do is stick 2 fingers in there and pull them apart while I prime around it. Prime around all very carefully, as these things are what's going to hold your sign together. Once you get the primer on and you glue it, the primer and the glue create sort of like a chemical bond, and they form a very strong, almost weld-like attachment. Generally that part will not come apart, no pun intended. as long as you have it primed and glued properly. All right. So there you are, lots of primer around the pipe. You'll see all these other pieces are already primed. The two caps are already primed on the inside. So now we're going to use our glue and we're going to put this thing together. I always tend to build these upright pieces first. So the first thing we're going to build are the two long sections here. So you'll see that they've got a T at the bottom and a T at the top. So it's pretty simple to put together. The only thing you want to make sure that you do is make sure that they are flat on the table when you do it, so that you get the two fittings coming out parallel to each other. So the first one there, and the second one we're going to glue up. We're going to hold this end down on the table, this fitting. We'll put this fitting over the other end of the pipe. We're going to work it down as far as we can. We're going to push down and make sure that everything is flat. This thing is, that way you make sure your fittings are both coming out parallel to each other. Whack, double check it. There you go, you've got that piece done. I'm going to go ahead and put the leg in while I'm building this. So this is a 1-inch cap. It's going to go over the top of that pipe. And then I'm going to glue this up. Because there are no special fittings or anything we need, all you've got to do is put it in and give it a side. So there you go, you've got your first upright piece. And we're going to build a second upright piece. We'll put it all together. So again, we're going to glue one of the T's on the long side, put it on. I'm going to glue the second T on the long side. We're going to hold this down so we make sure our project is flat and perpendicular. Put that on as far as it'll go. Push down on both of those fittings, make sure they're perpendicular to, or parallel to each other. And there you go. And then we'll put the leg on this one. Alright, and now I have my two matching uprights. I'm going to go ahead and put on my two top swivel T's. So, and for that, I need my 0 pieces. So I'm going to glue up the top hole on that T. And I'm going to set my 0 piece in there. Glue just the one hole on this last T, and I'm going to hold my project flat on the table. And I'm going to slide this over, make sure it's flat. Can't mention that enough. Give it a smack. There you go. There's part number 1. I'm going to do that for the second part. I'm going to put in our 0 piece. Putting our last T on the top. Again, hold your project flat. Put that T over the end. Push it down as far as it'll go. Make sure your whole project is flat on the table. And you have 2 parts for the vertical parts for this sign here. And all we're going to do is put these horizontals in. So we'll do the bottom first, we'll switch to the top. If you want to do the top first, you can do that. At this point, it's not that important, as long as your project finishes up being flat. Okay, so we're going to put that in there. that side in, push together as far as we can. Give it a second to sort of set up a little bit. We got that together. Still flat. Double check. Constantly double check your projects. You want to make sure that you stop when you can and try and make some adjustments if you've gone out of whack on something. So we'll glue these last two fittings up. Put that other horizontal in there, and we'll move on to building the the front portion. This sign is actually a little bit bigger than this sign here, but you can see that that's the original, or the back portion of that sign. We're going to build the front portion of this sign that has the offset hinges on it. And again, if you'll notice, it's pretty much just a big rectangle until you get to the top portion here. This part is your top T, and then it actually is the offset hinge. So when we get to this part here, this will go on the top of the vertical of this side. I'm going to put a T on it. All right, now, whichever way you have this T going, you have to make sure all three of these holes on this vertical piece come out on the same side. So while I'm building this one, I use this one. By that I mean, you've got this T on the bottom already. You're putting this T on the top. You want to make sure this T and this T are both facing in the same direction, and that's going to put your third pipe facing in that direction too. So once you've got this put together, you're going to grab one of your offset hinges. You're going to glue up the bottom of it. Hold this project down again. Make sure it's flat and put it over. Make sure everything's flat. And there you go. No wobble. You've got your upright for this side here. So there you've got one side here. We're going to go ahead and put the leg on it. Got one of your uprights that's going to fit there. We'll build the other one, and then we're going to start assembling the entire sign. All right, so this one I'm going to have to make it opposite because it's the left-hand hinge. So I've got this pipe fitting facing me. Going to hold it down flat. I'm going to put the top part of the offset hinge on, and again I'm going to hold the whole project down, make sure it's all flat. Push it on as far as I can. Make sure it's flat. Again, double check your projects all the time. Make sure that they are flat. Cannot stress that enough. That's what's going to make your projects work properly. I've spent a lot of time and trial and error on these things. So you can do other things that you would like, but stick to my rules and your signs will come out just right. Once you've watched the videos a few times, you'll be able to make different size A-frames for whatever you'd like to do. All right, so here's sort of the tricky part. Well, not really. Trickiest part is making those offset hinges properly so that the whole thing comes together. If this fitting and this fitting don't come out and parallel to each other, your two top pipes won't fit and your sign won't open and close like you want it to. So, looks like I have a few things left to prime over here. This is a 1/2 inch top rod, I call it the swing rod. It's going to go in that 1/2 inch fitting. What we're going to do is glue up one side of these verticals with all of these fittings in it, and then we're going to slide the back over the swing rod, and then we'll assemble the other half. So I'm going to glue up all 3 of the fittings on this vertical section. Then I'm going to put all the pipes in. Once you go to the website PVCMe.us, download the plans for this thing and watch me make the video a few times. See, this makes a lot of sense. All right, so we've got what is going to amount to this, but you can't put that piece on yet. First thing you've got to do is take the back section that you already made and slide it over that 1/2 inch swing rod. If you've measured everything properly, this is going to work just perfectly. All right, so got the back on. I'm going to open it up just a little to act as a little bit of a brace. All right, I'm going to glue up all 3 fittings on this piece vertical, and then we're going to put them on very carefully and set them with the hammer. They're not all going to fit exactly without a little playing around. So the first, I normally start with this one back here. You're not going to put it on all the way to start with. You're just going to slide it down maybe 1/4 of an inch. Play around with it, wiggle it a little bit. All right. So now they're all just slightly on the pipes where they're supposed to be. I'm going to work my way around, tap them down a little bit with the hammer here and there until I get the whole thing set. And there you go. You've got an A-frame. Now, the last couple of things I'm going to show you real quick are, you'll notice you've got to put a chain in between these 2 pieces. Otherwise, when this gets out on the sidewalk, the wind's going to come along and it's just going to go perfectly flat. So if you'll notice on this piece, on this finished product here, I've got a chain that runs between the 2 pieces. That makes it open only as far as the chain will allow. So I'm going to grab my drill. I'm going to drill a small hole here and here. I'm going to put a small eye screw in each of those holes, and then I'm going to put a piece of chain over it. All right, it's important that you buy a small link chain that you can open the links on, okay? Because you want to open the link on this end and put it through that eye screw, and open the link on this end and put it through that eye screw, and then with a pair of pliers you're going to squeeze them back down together, and that'll keep your whole project together. Generally, I suggest that you measure down and get to maybe about 10 or 12 inches below your frame. You don't want to do it too high. You don't want to do it too low. So I go about halfway. So I'm going to just go down about 10 inches. It's about here. I'm going to drill my first hole. And then 10 inches on this side is about here. And I've got 2 small eye screws. You're not going to be able to see those from there, but they are small so that they don't take up a lot of space. I put these eye screws on the inside of the pipe so that when this thing closes, they don't hit each other. If you put them on the outside of the pipe facing out to the edge of the sign, you have a problem with that. If you put them inside, then they don't conflict with each other and they don't get hung up. People are walking by it. All right, so now you've got these 2 screws in, just 2 eye screws in, just a little ways. Either you need to take a pair of pliers or something and screw them in all the way. I'm using my handy dandy little eye screw device that I've designed. If you go to PVCMe.us, you'll be able to find some of the shortcuts and handy helpful tricks that I've got on there in a whole separate video. And one of those includes how to make this little eye screwdriver. If you're in the sign shop business and you're going to be making a lot of these signs, you're going to want to make one of those for yourself. If you're only going to make one of these signs, just use a pair of pliers to turn these things in. So once you've got the eye screws in and you've got your chain, you'll see that because I used a chain where I can open the link, all I have to do is hook it over the eye screw, and I've actually done there. So all I need now to do is to squeeze those chain links closed so they won't come off, which I have done. And now you have your A-frame. The last thing that I would recommend that you do not have to do this, but is to put eye screws in the corners. That allows you to secure your sign with one zip tie in each corner. Close it up, take it with you wherever you're going. When you get there, open it up. You've got different size signs on here now. If you're going to use both sides for a sign, you are going to have two different size signs. There's no way around that. I'll mention a few little facts real quick. However long this front rod is, the back rod is 5 inches shorter. So if you're going to make a 36-inch wide A-frame on the front, you're only going to be 31 inches wide on the back. And the other piece that you need to know is that if this piece is 36 across the top, then this 1/2 inch pipe that runs across the top is 3/4 of an inch longer. So if this is 36, this is 36 3/4. This will be 31. Those are the dimensions you need to remember. Again, if you go to PVCMe.us, download and watch the videos, there is going to be a video on there that talks about the difference in the size of the pipe lengths and the little tips and tricks that go along with making one of these A-frame signs. That's it for this project. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you'll get all the new videos as they come out, and we'll keep you up to speed on all the new projects I'm coming out with.